So you're welcome. Like Paula said, this is our weekly out of school time community meeting series that we host every Friday. We're excited that this Friday we're going to have the folks from 4-H with us who are going to share their story of how they've adapted to virtual programming. They'll also share some really fun educational tools that you can learn how to use and see what it's like to add this into your own virtual programming. But first, we just have a couple of announcements. First, next week and the week after, we're going to have a training on engaging students through drama that we're hosting with the Honolulu Theater for Youth. Drama is a great way to engage kids and get them to develop more self-confidence and SEL skills, and then also a way to get their interest in learning. You know, it's a different way to present content and materials that they might not be able to connect with otherwise. So it's a different way to kind of present that through really fun drama activities. So this training, you'll be able to experience some of the drama activities yourself virtually, and then you'll be able to practice facilitating it yourself so you can get comfortable doing this. So we'll have it on November 3rd and November 9th, and then Lexi put the links to both of those training dates in the chat box. And then for next week's OST meeting, we have Ka'anohi Kalama-Makomer from the Office of Hawaiian Education with us, and she'll kind of share about the HA framework and also opportunities that we can use to strengthen HA by grounding our program content to Hawaii. You know, it's through like simple things that we can change our daily practices or how our organizations operate through like the Hawaiian culture. So that is next week. And then the link to register is also in the chat. And then lastly, we just wanted to remind you to please vote. Make your plan to drop off your ballots at a drop-off box or a polling place. I think it's a little too late to put it in the mail at this point. But yeah, it's important. We want our kids to be civically engaged, so we also need to set that example. Also, for those of you who are on Oahu, ballot measure number 2 is to create a youth commission, and the youth commission will be a group of 15 youth from across Oahu who will advise the mayor and city council on policies and priorities that are important to youth. And so, you know, we all know how youth are just really great at coming up with solutions that us adults wouldn't even think of. So I think it's important to have youth voice involved in our policymaking projects and process, and also to get youth more civically engaged. So that is what ballot measure number 2 is. And that is our last announcement. So I'd like to pass it to the ladies at 4-H, Christine Hanakawa, Nancy Oki, and Kate Ekstead. So thank you all for being here, and you can take it away.
Thank you. Good morning. Let me just get the presentation up. I'm Nancy Ooki. I am actually wearing 2 hats currently. I am the interim Hawaii State Program Leader, but I'm also the Maui County 4-H Youth Development Agent. And Christine and Kate will introduce themselves when they take their part of the presentation. So what we wanted to talk to you about today is how 4-H has adapted to virtual learning in the wake of COVID, and then share a bunch of tools that we've been playing around with and using that you might want to incorporate into your programming. So we had a kind of a 4-step process.
Nancy?
Yes?
Oh, sorry, your slide.
My slide, what?
Oh, you're sharing the PowerPoint slide, which is tiny.
Oh, okay, 1 second. Thank you for letting me know. Is that the right one? Yes, okay. So we had kind of a 4-part process. We created back in April, we started moving towards virtual platform when everything was kind of in a lockdown mode. And then over the process of the summer into this new 4-H year, our years work from October 1st to September 30th. We've created this hybrid format, which I'll talk a little bit about. And then we're talking with our volunteers and our club members on how to keep their programs kind of flexible right now. In the interest of making it easier for our volunteers, we took some curriculum and projects and adapted them to this new hybrid format. And then we want to make sure that we're still incorporating our positive youth development elements, which is an important part of 4-H. Still on the right screen? I just want to make sure. Okay, great. So our hybrid format is kind of an online, offline, online again format. So the biggest challenge we were finding was summer was not so bad because youth were not in school. And so when we moved to our virtual formats, they were enjoying it. They were happy to be engaged in doing icebreakers and activities online. But now that they're in school and a lot of their schoolwork is online, we didn't want to pile on more online stuff. So we're trying to get them offline as much as we can. So our hybrid format is that the youth would meet with their leader and they would have some sort of team building activity or an icebreaker or something. And then they would run their business meetings. So junior and senior clubs actually have club officers and they're responsible for creating agendas, having secretary minutes, having treasurer reports, and then discussing what they're going to be doing as a club for the year. So all that business meeting part would be online with the volunteer. And then there would be an introduction to the project topic and whatever the activity or activities were for the day. So this could include guest experts from the community, maybe some videos on how to do something, demonstrations of a project, that kind of a thing. And then we can also have the youth kind of help introduce some of this if it's a topic they're familiar with and they do a little research or something. But then for the actual activity, we want the youth to get offline. So clubs can either have it where they can meet in very small groups, as long as they're following the county and state guidelines, or each youth could just do this at their own home if there's enough supplies. And they would be offline. The expert and the volunteer would stay online in case the kids had questions. But for the most part, they're not going to be looking at the screen. They're going to be doing whatever their activity is. And then at the end of that time, they're going to come back online for another 10 minutes or so and do a reflection piece, which is part of the 4-H experiential learning process, which I'll get to in a second. And then in the reflection, we want to kind of incorporate some engaging activities. So it could be that each of the youth had a certain section that they had to monitor a little bit more, and then they would report back on that section. Or it could be a Kahoot game to see what they learned. It could be a headbands, hands up kind of a game. Jeopardy game. You can kind of mix up how they're going to be doing the reflection and kind of show what they've learned, kind of a thing. And so that's kind of our hybrid format that we're recommending. Again, we're incorporating the positive youth development pieces, the experiential learning process, and that reflection cycle. We do have online safety guidelines for working with youth in an online setting. We do have some virtual guidelines on technology, and then different pieces of technology that we'll kind of cover today. So for the flexible programs, we're just asking our volunteers to keep the parents and the kids in the loop. Ask them before they start any projects on how they would like to do the project, what they might want it to be. We want them to come up with some short-term goals, some midterm goals, and maybe some long-term goals for their project, both based on whether they have to stay virtual for the entire year or if they can eventually transition to face-to-face, and just kind of be flexible with how the projects are going to run. And then just adapt their program as things progress, maybe update the plans monthly and keep the goals in mind as they revise their plans. For the adapted projects, we have two different things. Back in April, we created our 4-H Halle Learning page, which has videos of activities that can be done at home or can be done virtually, shared with a leader in the club. We have some challenges that we've put up here. This was pretty much pure virtual back from the time when we could not meet at all. And there's information that's kind of based on our mandates in 4-H, which is healthy living, STEM, civic engagement, and then some agriculture activities. And then we have taken some 4-H curriculum and adapted it to meet our hybrid criteria. So the topics we're working on are gardening, cooking, animal science, photography, and then a forensic spy science kind of club where we have built-in icebreakers so that the leaders don't have to come up with their own icebreakers, virtual icebreakers. Then they have their business meeting, like we said. And then we have resources and videos and things to set up the activity. The the materials that they need for the activity so that they can make sure the club members have it and do that part at home. And then we have the reflection piece and the reflection questions. And it was just to make it easy on the leaders because they have enough stuff to worry about right now other than coming up with their own projects. And so for positive youth development, we have 4 essential elements that we follow. We want to create environments that allow youth to gain independence, feel like they belong, have a sense of generosity or community service, and then an opportunity to master skills. And so we have built into this hybrid format ideas of what they can do to support each of these elements. So for example, for independence, instead of telling youth what to do, you kind of ask them how they might want to do something, or have the youth take responsibility for the meeting, send out the announcements, that kind of thing. For belonging, we want to just make sure that we stay connected to the family so that they feel part of the whole thing. And then just make sure we provide opportunities for the youth to create relationships with adults. For generosity, we do a lot of community service and talk about how they should think about other people, kind of a sense of empathy. And then for mastery, it's definitely skill building, but it's also, you know, kind of think about the short-term goals and the long-term goals of what they need to do to move from beginner to maybe more of an expert, and make sure that they have the right communication and content to develop those skills. So for the experiential learning piece, which is that reflection piece, it always starts with the hands-on learning. So again, we give them minimal instruction in the beginning. I always call it don't chop off your hand instructions. Just basically whatever they need to do the activity safely, but not explain the entire thing because they learn by actually doing it. And then when they come back online, they'll talk about what they did. So what did they learn while they were doing it? What did they learn about themselves while they were doing it? We'll talk about the process. How did they make their decisions? What were the steps that they took? For generalization, we try to make them start thinking about larger themes and real life kinds of skills. So what did they learn, or where do they have similar experiences that are related to this project? And then apply is having them think about how they could use those skills then in a different situation or in real life. So now I'm going to turn it over to Christine, who's going to do an icebreaker with you.
Good morning. I'm Christine Hanakawa. I take care of the island of Oahu's 4-H programs that are not livestock related. So anything that's not livestock, that's what I take care of. And I'm gonna kind of now draw it in. We did a lot of presenting to you, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun now. So in the link, I shared a Nearpod link. So if you are able to click it, or you can click on, or you can type in join.nearpod.com and put a code 18E2. What I'm going to let you know is that about Nearpod, we're going to be using a little bit about collaborate board, polling, draw it, open-end questions, and time to climb activities that you could use in your activities or use as an icebreaker too. So if you guys can hop on, and Nancy, I'm going to share.
Would you like to share? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I didn't start it yet, but so what it would look like in Nearpod, it looks like this. So I have all these different board activities. You can create your own, or you can actually use an existing one that teachers or educators or any kind of any person created. Just to kind of fall back a little bit, one of our gardening clubs actually use these. We eat plant parts and their jobs. It fit exactly to what they wanted to teach about plant parts and food. So today I'm going to go on this back to school icebreakers, but I just like it as an icebreaker. It's kind of fun. So if you're able to click on the link and log in, and I'll wait for you folks to join in.
Christine, I think the link, the code is not working.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a different code. Sorry. Code is the one on the screen, the 784MU. And if you click the top link, it should take you. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I guess it refreshes a new code every time. Here's a shortcut link.
Now it's working. Now it's working.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see on my screen, you can see what it looks like on the teacher's end or the leader's end. And the neat thing about this with Nearpod, you can use it with existing PowerPoints too. And they create it and you can stick your these fun slides in that's already created, or prompts is what they call it. So even if we start, you can still, I believe you can still jump in. So you can try to still keep logging in if you can. And let me just click into some of the slides because it's just, a lot of these are kind of based in the classroom. So they kind of tell you what the lesson's for. So this one has what I just said earlier. And they also put in some learning objectives. So sometimes that's nice to have that to show the kids too, or the students about this. And just to give you a little idea about what is Nearpod, Nearpod uses technology to participate more, help youth participate in more lessons. And at certain parts in the Nearpod, we could stop for a question. You can use it for a question so they can participate in an activity and get them engaging online. And well, like I said, this one will be some fun icebreakers. Okay, so this is the first one. Let me see. You can control if you want to approve the student comments or not. So I'm going to do no for now. And if you can put your thoughts on the bottom, and you can add pictures if you like. Just type in text. So if you can answer the question on the top, animal for the day. So if you could transform into an animal for just one day, what would you choose? And there's a way where you could hide students' names. So if I did that, then, oops, sorry. Then, on your screen, you wouldn't be able to see who's typing it in. So some youth like to be anonymous. But if you guys don't mind, I will show. So it's kind of cool. You can see somebody put pictures. There's a lot of things you can ask them to do, what everybody has in common. Mostly mammals look like. There's some ocean animals, birds. So this is cool part. You could use it for all kinds of things, for reflection, brainstorming, polling. So, okay, here's the next one. So I think we had mostly everybody participate. So where would you rather live? So right now I have everybody's names. I can hide them again. So you pick either A, B, or C. Where would you rather live? A, in outer space, B, underwater, or C, you don't have an answer. So if you can see on my screen, you can see all the dots for everybody's names. And right here on the left, it can share the percentages as you guys answer. So this is like another polling activity. So right now it looks like more underwater. And there's a button here you can share. So I think, did we get mostly everybody participating? Got mostly everybody. I'll wait another couple more seconds. Okay, so if I press share, I think you guys can see it on your screen. Yeah, okay. Okay, next. How about this one? So I'm going to start the activity. You get to draw now. So let's see some of your creative drawings here. So you should be able to access your tool. You got 5 minutes to, well, we'll probably do it less though, but you can create a picture of your favorite food. And I think you could either type to, or you could insert a picture, but it's more fun drawing. And don't forget, when you're done drawing, press submit. Oh, yes, you see colors. You can change your colors. I'll scroll down so you can see the rest of my screen. So like if you have a group of youth together, you can have everybody there and you can see who's working on it, who's not, who might need a little help. So you can also come back and talk to them. So it's nice to do this with some kind of online platform like Zoom or WebEx or Google Meets. Oh, I see something that looks like French fries, tacos, pizza. Okay, I'll give one more minute. I'm going to go to the next icebreaker. So don't forget to press submit. And what happens is when you press submit, later on at the end, I get to see the saved pictures and share it back with everybody. And we can do an art gallery later on. So that's a cool thing. Okay, 20 more seconds. And don't forget to submit. Okay, make sure you guys submit, and I'm gonna go to the next one. So if humans could visit all planets easily, which planet would you want to visit first? So click on the image to see the solar system. So you get to vote. So as I scroll my screen, everyone's still thinking, deciding. There's a share button on the right. So if I press that, I can share somebody's answer. So Jen, I'm gonna share your answer if you don't mind. Okay. I'm not sure what it looks like on your end, but you should see what she shared. But the only thing, we tried playing around and see if we can share everybody's at one time, but you only can share one person at a time, so. Okay. And the neat thing again at the end, whoever's the leader or the instructor for using this tool, you can get all the results compiled together. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I think there's like one or two more slides left. Okay, okay, there we go. This is the last one. Time to climb. So I am going to pick, let's go on this Halloween theme. And you get to pick your character. So just letting you know, in our garden club, when we used the Nearpod, one of our students actually requested for it because a lot of these tools that I've learned, I got it from school, my kid's school. So she requested, can we please do Nearpod? So just letting you know, especially the elementary kids, they like this Nearpod. Okay. Kind of wait another couple of seconds. So it's neat, it kind of gives their names and then their character that they picked. And you just kind of wait I think we have about 29 people or so. But if you don't want to participate, that's okay. We can continue on. You can just pick a character. Okay. I'm going to start. So it's only a couple questions. And you'll notice which youth are competitive. So which US state has the smallest population? So kind of like Kahoot, whoever's the fastest can. Oh. Okay. So whoever's the fastest and get it correct goes up the mountain faster, higher. True or false? A peregrine falcon can fly faster than a cheetah can run. So is it true or false? Okay, here we go again. Nancy's in the lead. Okay, who was the second president? Can anyone figure that one out? I just realized the timer is really long, but I believe you can adjust the time. Anyone knows their social studies? Okay, Fizzles is at the top. There you go. Okay, we got 2 more questions. So in what country would you find ancient pyramids? So this is just random questions, so. 2, 1, and then see. Fitzu's in the lead. Okay, last question. Now you can see why the younger kids like this. If a group of dogs is referred to as a pack, what do you call a group of squirrels? Okay, let's see who knows this answer. And this is, then you can see who listed high. The neat thing about this is, let me see if I can share it at the end. So there's usually a closing screen at the end. So I'll stop sharing. So that's kind of like what Nearpod is. There's a whole multitude of ways you can even create your own slides and screens and add in prompts to an existing PowerPoint presentation. A neat thing is that when we do online, it's easier to use the PowerPoint as a guide with the youth, and then you can stop and get off and let them do their activities. So I will, oh, is it? Yeah, okay. Sorry, Nancy, you want to share your screen again? And the next thing we wanted to do is kind of let you know about thinking out of the box. Just to give you a point of reference, we'll define what is virtual learning. Virtual learning is a learning experience that is enhanced through utilizing computers and or the internet, both outside and inside the facilities of an educational organization. So instruction is most commonly taking place in an online environment, and teaching activities are carried out online, whereby the teachers and learners are physically separated in terms of place, time, or both. So actually, in this case, when we do it, because we don't want them being online very long, we also do it offline too, and then do reflection afterwards. And then how we define an extension in 4-H is we the delivery of programming and education is a non-face-to-face manner, in other words. Okay, next slide. And so what I want to share with you folks is there's this document that everybody, when we did online trainings and everything, Oh, did it go? Okay, I thought I could share it. I will send it to Jen, and if she could share this document. It's 10 tips for program development, and it has a lot of tools in the toolkit that you can use. So it's everything that we're talking about today that's virtual. It'll give a description and the links on how to get there. So Jen, I'll send it to you. I thought I could drop it, but I guess I couldn't. And then Nancy earlier talked about the Holly Learning site. So there's a link here. Nancy, if you can drop it in, and then Kate, you want to talk a little bit about 4-H at home?
Sure. And Christine, I was able to put the link in from the other slide.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So our 4-H Holly Learning is specific. We developed it for Hawaii staff. Hawaii staff developed it. But then there's also our national partners at 4-H. And they did a great 4-H at home activity guide. It's a great guide. If you've not done 4-H at your program, I would say 4-H at home activity guide is a great place to start. It's a great place to see some activities, a great place to maybe download and say, hey, guys, does any of these activities sound fun? So it's really easy. You go to the website and asks you for your name, your zip code, your email, and then they'll send it to you in like a second. So highly suggest. I think there's about 30 activities in there, and it's a great jumping point, I think, for some activities, especially if you're new to 4-H. So definitely go to those great resources.
Oh, can I jump in real quick and to mention
Yeah.
that some of the resource tools that we're sharing today, a lot of it is really easy. They have a lot of how-to videos and instructions to follow by. So, but then what we're trying to do today, because how I learned it just from kids and from other trainings, is actually participating. It kind of helps and gets you excited and think of ideas of how to use this tool with your activities and your programming. So there's a lot of how-tos and easy to follow, you know, how the kids like to use their YouTube and everything. So and just logging in, you can use your Gmail account, and then you don't have to create a new password, or you just log in and create your own login and password. So it's very easy. But I'll pass it on to Kate to talk about the Google Classroom. Kate, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. All right. So my name is Kate Eichstead, and I am the 4-H Military Partnership Coordinator. Something that's really cool about 4-H is that there's a partnership with our military programs, and basically 4-H is there for youth as they move quite often 10 times they might move in their life, and 4-H is here, so we really try to outreach and make sure that it is available in our communities for them as well. So I'm going to share with you a real life example of how I've used Google Classrooms for 4-H. Next slide. All right, so over the summer, as we were talking earlier, you know, I was just really wondering, where is everything going these days? I'm sure everybody has been in that boat over these last several months. And so I was on a Zoom call with some of my military partners, and we had a team panel, and just kind of talking to them and saying, hey, what is going on with you guys? What are you feeling, you know, you want to do? And they were like, we got to do something. We want to do something. So that was really cool. Started talking a little bit about 4-H with them, and we thought photography would be really fun and social distancing appropriate, and really spoke to the middle school and teen groups that this group is, that we have. So I dove into Google Classrooms as a new user. I had never used it before, and I thought, I'll give it a try. I want to see what this virtual programming and how we might translate what we've done in 4-H for a long time and how we might adapt it and pivot to this new way. All right, next slide. All right, so 4-H has researched and reviewed curriculum in many areas. there's STEM, there's cooking, there's gardening, and so much more. We could probably have we have our own trainings we do on all the different curriculums, which is a lot of fun. So the curriculum I picked up was this photography curriculum. It came out and was redone in 2019, and it is from Ohio State University. So this edition, it focuses on digital photography, kind of pulling away from that film photography, which is still relevant, but really focusing on digital. And what I really liked about this curricula was you can use any camera. It could be a digital camera. It could be a $30 digital camera from Target. It could be your tablet. It could be your phone. So it really opened up that accessibility for youth to get into photography. So while there is that component, kids can still use DSLR cameras, really whatever they have at home to get started with photography. So this curriculum is geared towards 5th grade to 12th. So this is, our club is middle school and high school aged. There are other curriculum with photography that could go for that younger group of 3rd through 5th grade. That would be a little more appropriate. But for today, we're going to talk about this particular one. And so, next slide. All right, so this is just a little snapshot of me as a student in our Google Classroom. So what is Google Classroom? If you have not used it, it is a free web-based platform that integrates Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and other online features that we, like Nearpod that we just discussed earlier. And then also some things we're going to talk about after that Nancy and Christine will talk about, like Flipgrid, TED, you can insert TED Talks and all kinds of great stuff. So I really like it because it makes it a nice space. We're not meeting necessarily right now in school cafeterias or parks or community rec centers or at your program. So right now we're using this as our space. This is our club space. So on the screen is what a youth would see. So they would see the things that have been assigned, and then they can go through there and mark off when they're done with the activity, and they can move on or participate that way. So next slide. All right, so I'm sure this might be a little difficult for you to see, but I just wanted to show there's a lot of ease. It's very user-friendly. When you get on Google Classrooms, you'll see a plus sign, and that's how you add stuff. So for this one, I was able to go through using our curriculum, and there were 16 activities. I was able to go through and draft everything. So back in September, back in August, I was able to upload and draft and schedule out the activities that we were going to do this semester, this fall. So for example, what I did, I just took the activity out of the curriculum, which was kind of nice and easy. I kept it to just the 1-page PDF. We do not need to be giving kids tons of paperwork. That doesn't work. So I kept it really simple and just took what the basic point of it, small paragraph, and then they're able to click on that PDF and read through it. So it's pretty simple. This is the activity that was the very first one. So it's just having them get used to their camera. So it says a great camera will not necessarily make you a great photographer, but knowing your equipment will help. Are you using a digital, a cell phone? Practice. So they were just learning about where their, where the grid is, using, your focus, your lens, depending on what you had. So it's just kind of getting used to your equipment. pretty easy. And then what's great about pretty much all 4-H curriculum, it's progressive. It's going to go up and get a little harder at each time. Oh, thank you, Nancy. Nancy did include where that curriculum is. This is a 4-H curriculum, photography basics from Ohio State University. So she shared that link. Someone had typed that into the questions. Thank you. So this is basically what a youth is going to see. So for our club, what we've done is every Wednesday, the youth can expect at 3 o'clock a new activity is going to come up. So we're kind of using our club as in a flexible sense, is that some kids were like, well, on Wednesdays, I have a different group I'm meeting with, or I'm taking an instrument lesson online at that time. So that's great. It comes out on Wednesday, but maybe Sunday works better for you. So this club is a little bit flexible in that way, is that it is their responsibility to kind of schedule that into their lives and make it work for them. All right, next slide. So I'll share how we're using the curriculum. So we've done it flexible. But the thing is you can tailor it to your organization. Maybe you're using a 4-H program for a quarter, or maybe you meet daily after school, or maybe you want to do it weekly. What I like is that it can really work for you. So we have activities weekly, and then once a month we meet via Zoom, and then we talk about the activities. How was that lighting activity? Were you able to practice that skill? And then we can learn from each other. So just in the last 2 months that this club has been in operation, we have 10 youth that are involved, and it is really amazing to see. While the kids were really excited just to have that socialization and try something new and join this club, there's some other things that happen when you apply those positive youth development essential elements into program. So we have our life skills. And in 1 month, just from seeing things develop, we definitely are learning specific skills to photography. We're touching on equipment. We've talked about lighting. We're just getting into some composition, which I think is the fun part. But those are just specific mastery skills of photography, but there's so much more that has come out in the last 2 months. Communication, keeping records, developing that healthy lifestyle choices. This is a great leisure skill to add into your life. Problem solving. We got on a Zoom meeting, and one of our youth said, I have this DSLR camera. My cousin gave it to me. I'm taking pictures, but I don't know how to upload these things. How do I upload it to the computer? So we were really able to help troubleshoot and talk about it on those Zoom meetings. So we're problem solving. Something else I'm seeing is there has to be that self-motivation. If they don't want to do photography, that's great. I hope they find another club or another program that works for them. But if they are interested in photography, they have to be self-motivated to make sure they get on Google Classrooms, make sure that they practice those skills, or else, you won't learn new skills if you don't practice. There's goal setting. We're also doing, writing and reading comprehension, and also leadership, and then just the use of technology with using this virtual platform. So it's really great to see that there's this scaffolding that we've created that 4-H offers through their curriculum. So it's great scaffolding, but then we can go in so many different directions, and the youth can have a lot of say in their program. Next slide. So some few tips before I could go on and on. I love talking about programming, is one of my favorite things. And I could go on and on, but I had 10 minutes. So some of my words of wisdom, or what I found, is just keep it simple, keep it clear. I didn't have to think of everything. All I had to do was have this great outline, have a little bit of organization, and then the teens and my middle schoolers really are the ones that are going to make this club a club. They've come up with some amazing ideas already of what they want to do. They definitely want to meet in person when that time comes, but we know that this virtual platform is a really great way for us to keep on being able to meet until that time comes. So I would say just keep it simple. Communication is key, so people know what supplies they need, what time, what Zoom link, and then get offline and do. So have a lot of those fun hands-on activities where they can be empowered to go and do, and then have fun with it. Nobody expects anyone to all of a sudden become a great virtual teacher, a great after-school leader online. So I think you just have to give it a try. Next slide. So if you were interested in what I was speaking about today, if you were like, wow, I think it'd be fun to incorporate a 4-H club or even the photography club, go ahead, email me. I can share my classroom with you and give you a copy. I've also just created a folder that has those 16 activities. So whatever way you want to add it into your programming, we can definitely make that work. So if you would like to let me know, I'm happy to be here as a resource, talk story, and see how something like this might work for you guys. In the chat, just really quick, just after hearing me talk about my Google Classroom, in the chat box, write how you might use Google Classroom for your programming, or maybe it's a subject like, maybe we could do cooking or theater or gardening virtual using Google Classrooms. I'd love to hear what you were maybe inspired, or maybe something that you thought of during this time. All right, I will hand it over to Christine. And what's really cool is all of these things that you're going to hear about next, Pear Deck, are great things to add into that Google Classroom platform as well. All right, thank you. Oh, I'm seeing some sustainability club. Oh, I like that. Oh, some good ideas. Some wheels are turning, which is great.
Okay, hi everybody. So Pear Deck, just to kind of go over this one slide, you can actually use Google Slides or just your PowerPoint presentation to create an interactive lesson. Just some quick tips before I get to show you Pear Deck. You can engage your students in real time and add a student paced mode. It's best to connect to your Google Drive if possible, but you don't have to. And then activate your Pear Deck for Google Slides as add-ons, and then you can import your slides, and then you can actually create it within your Google Slides or in your PowerPoint, some instructions and add-ins that are already created. So I'm going to share my screen. So I did a training for some students, high school students with the FCCLA clubs, that Family Career Community Leadership of America, or Association. I get that mixed up, but anyway, so I was training them a little bit about public speaking and community service, or service learning. So we talked a little bit about how you can make public speaking going virtual, and I used Pear Deck. So we did some things like this, and on the bottom you can tell it's different from your normal PowerPoint slides. So I'm actually uploaded into Pear Deck, and I get to create it there. And then when I present it, I even incorporated other tools like Nearpod, and we did little activities like that. And then some of these things, Pear Deck already has preset prompts. So like we did a simulation about public speaking, and we figured out problems and what would you do in that situation, and they would type in the response and everything. So I'm just kind of sharing this because I know we have a short amount of time. And if we're able to stay on a little bit longer, I think Jen, If you want to stick on a little longer, got a couple more things we can share with you that are tools. Just so sharing you a little bit about this, and then just to share another tool that I would like to have you guys do right now. So this is what the Pear Deck looks like, and then you would just log in. I'm going to share you, if you guys can participate in this trust check activity. Nancy, would you be able to copy that link into this the chat, please? And if you guys can click on that, you can participate in this stress check.
Sorry, Christine, I don't have a link.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, wait. Oh, hang on 1 second. So you guys can click on this link. So my screen looks like this. Wait, let me try again. And then on your stress check, then you would, oh, sorry, I thought I hit enter. There you go. You guys can click on that link. And you can stick little prompts like this into the your PowerPoint presentations. Okay, so I see about 13 people, and then on the so it's kind of hard because if you see my screen, I have the what I'm sharing right now is the teacher's end or the leader's end. Let's see if I can.
I can share mine if you want.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So you kind of pick how you're feeling. Oh, did I end it? I'm so sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. I guess it's not working. Oh my God. Okay, can I hand it off to Nancy to take on the next part?
Sorry, the next tool we're going to share is called Factile. And you can click on this link if you want, but it doesn't work that way. This is not something that you would necessarily see on your screen. So this creates a Jeopardy style game. And usually you would just run it with a big presentation board so that everybody would see the questions. And then you can set it up so that teams can answer. So I'm using the free version. The free version, you can have up to 5 teams. If you want to upgrade, and I think it's $5 a month, then you can have people sign in on their phones as a buzzer, kind of more Jeopardy-like, and you can have more teams. But I am just going to share one that's already made. I didn't even make this one, and I'm just going to share a couple questions, but just show you how it's set up. So in the free version, you can only play it as the Jeopardy style game, but if you upgrade, you can do flashcards or multiple choice or a memory game as well. And so you would go through and you would say how many teams you want. So we'll say 5. And then we cannot play buzzer mode because we're in free. So we're just going to say no for right now. But then you can pick what kind of characters you want. So there's fruits and vegetables. There's sea animals, I believe. And you could just pick whichever one you want. So I'm just going to auto select. And then we're going to start the game. And it looks just like a Jeopardy board. So we actually incorporated this pre-COVID.
Oh, Nancy, I think you might be on mute.
Sorry, has it been on mute the whole time? Oh, so sorry about that. So basically what I was saying is you can do the pre-version or the free version. The free version allows up to 5 teams. If you go to the paid version, which is like $5 a month, then you can have the buzzer mode where people can sign in on their phones and do it like a real Jeopardy, and then you can have more teams. But this one is just a free version, and I'm just using one that's already pre-made. So you can pick your kinds of characters. We just sort of auto-select it. We did this in 4-H pre-COVID time as an officers training. And then at the end of it, we had them group as presidents, secretaries, treasurers, vice presidents, and then they would stand up and then they would answer the question and be awarded points. So you would just pick a question, and then you're supposed to try to guess what the answer is. So someone could yell it out or type it in the chat or however it is that you want to set this up. And we are going to award Wolf the points. So they got $200. And then we would go to the next one, and then somebody could pick another question. And you can create these. Like I said, I'm just using one that's already here. And then we would say maybe Banana got that question right. And so you would go on to the end of the questions, and then you would have somebody that won. And that is it for Factile. So Christine.
Okay, next tool that we like to use, and especially with brainstorming and icebreaker, or when I did with my leadership officers, we would use it as a brainstorming session. So if you want to do this fun one, you can click on the palette link that I just posted. It's your favorite Halloween costume palette. Sorry, I was in this Halloween mode planning this, but this is what it'll look like. So I'm going to share my screen. So what it looks like is when you log in and you have up to 4 free Padlets, and if you want more, you got to purchase, but you can always erase it later on and then create a new Padlet. So I have the favorite Halloween costume palette, and then it'll look like this. And then when you log in or when you click in, you can type, and the first ones will pop up on the top. You can add in all kinds of things, like you can add in a link, you can add in photos, all kinds of things. So if you can see mine, if you haven't seen it. So people like homemade costumes. Is there any particular costume? Like, is it, I think one point there were like a lot of people who like Scream and they were wearing the Scream costumes, or I think there was a lot of Harry Potter. I seen one of the news anchors dressed up as Harry Potter the other day. So just something you can think of. There's a lot of different things you could use this with. Padlet, brainstorming, reflection. So I like to use this for reflections after some of our 4-H activities, or trying to get ideas from our leaders or from the youth what they want to do. So as surveying. Ooh, I like that picture of the dinosaur there. That's cool. So, and it kind of makes the kids think of creative. And then again, like what Nancy was mentioning about how to utilize technology, this is another way of how they can use technology, how to communicate with each other. So just sharing this a little bit. Oh, somebody did an M&M one. I've seen that. Yeah. But this is a cool way, think of, I'm sure everyone has, that's why when we talk about thinking out of the box, you got to not think of it just what it can do, what else can you use it for? And so this might be a great way for sharing a multitude of things, even if it's pictures. So whoever has the link, that's the way that you can get them into this Padlet. So even if it takes, they take a picture of their, if we did cooking club and they had to create salad, they can take a picture of their salad and post it up here so that everyone can see the results that they can share. So it's kind of like a bulletin board, and you can do a whole multitude of things. So I'm going to stop sharing, and you guys can continue on if you want to post more. You can see it on your own screen too. And again, if you have to go, please go. I think I'll share some of the links with Jennifer and she can share it with you. But another thing that I wanted to share too is there was one, oh shucks, if you want to do it, you can try. I have the filter on for profanity. What it'll do is it'll replace the profanity with nice emojis in this, and it's in our settings tool. So on there's a settings link, and then you can click on that and you switch over and take the profanity off, and they'll put nice emojis. So next slide, please. Another tool that we can use is Flipgrid. I'm going to show this real quick and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to share my screen again. And this is, you can always Google and see what else you could use Flipgrid and all these other tools for. Okay, so the neat thing about Flipgrid is you can use it to have the youth participate and record themselves. So again, back to technology, practice their public speaking, giving back positive feedback. Everything in here is kind of like similar to social media, but it's all done by video clips. So I did a little one. We were actually going to plan something like this for our rally day that was going to happen tomorrow, but it didn't happen. So I have it here so you can see, you can give the title, instructions, and then I created a video right here, right in front of my window there. I'm going to just try to play it so you guys can kind of see how it works. You could add like a framing.
Christine, there's no sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Was I supposed to click on the, oh, yeah, I didn't share my sound. Here we go. One more time. I'll just share whatever at the end.
So we're looking forward to seeing what you find for this Halloween. Happy hunting.
I'll share the link. So if you want to give feedback or tell me if this tool is cool, you can do that. Here we go. Oh, I didn't have the link. I'm sorry. So actually, if you go into Flipgrid, you just type in Flipgrid, and then there's this code here, which I'm trying to copy. Okay, maybe not. I'll send it somehow to Jen again, and you can play around with this. This one I just strictly made it for today's training, but this is kind of cool. So when they respond, they would probably reply back, record a response. So it'll keep going and going. So what they would do in a scavenger hunt when they find one item, so again, like you see the bear behind me, I would take a picture and record and say where I found it, and then post a recording, and people can respond back to using a recorder response. So that's some of the cool things that you can use with Flipgrid, and it can be more than just scavenger hunt. Like you can see in the oh, sorry, Nancy, would you like to share your screen again? You can use it for oh, one back again. Like collaborating, doing announcements, doing podcasts, and all kinds of things. So that's the cool part. And then handing it off to Kate. Oh, is it me? And then if you're able to complete our evaluation, it will help us give some feedback about today. If there's any questions or answers, sorry, Kate, would you like to monitor that? Moderate that? Yeah.
Sorry, I was just putting in the evaluation. Yes, I'm on. Okay. Now we have a little time for some questions and answers. Is there anything else that you would like to know while we are all on here now? But of course, we'll share our information. And if later on you're like, hey, I'd like to know more about this, we're happy to help. Let's see if we have anything in the chat box. So we have shared our evaluation. We do appreciate that feedback. We always are evaluating ourselves. Okay.
So feel free to unmute yourself if you rather ask the questions directly. A lot of it is, and what we usually do in 4-H is experiential learning. You just had to kind of do it. So some of the things that when we send it to Jen, you know, participate. It can be, I can set it up to be standalone so you can play on it and then see what it's like to, you know, as a youth to participate it on their own time. So it's not just us doing it all together at one time. You could actually have it as a standalone and they can get off and then do what, you know, do something else in the meantime too. So
We did have a question asking if these resources were free. And I believe that there's free versions of all of it. So Google Classrooms is free. Like Nancy had said, there was like a $5 one. So like most apps that we have, there's always the free part where there's some great tools on there. And then of course there's always add-ons that they want to sell you. But I believe what we've shared today was all free tools. Great question though.
and the neat thing, if you ask your students or the youth, they know some of the fun ones and they probably could teach you. So that's the cool part. Like I mentioned to you folks, I actually learned from my kids' teachers. I've been watching it while they're doing their work and I'm like, oh, cool, that tool. And I try to play around. So, and then just follow those YouTube videos or their steps, you know, that's the only way to do it. Or you got to just, the hard part is you just got to do it. But the fun part is if you experience it a little too, like what we did today, that really helps. So.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, we mentioned that we like for the kids to really have that service learning component. And one thing that one of our photography members, they're going to take the lead on, I believe it's the Flipgrid one, I can't remember, but they were going to make an activity. So as part of a way to give back and to share with the group. So I think that, yeah, you're right, Christine. The kids are using these things, and they might even be more experts than us. So they're a great tool to use as well. Now we don't have to create everything. We've got some great resources in our youth as well. All right, let me see if there's any other questions here. None other in the chat. If anybody has anything else. Great.
Any other questions for these wonderful people that share all these resources with us? Jen, I'm going to put you on the spot. I was thinking that if we can put some of the resources in our website, so it has easy access for everybody. So one-stop shop kind of thing. So we'll share the resources in our websites as well.
Thank you so much, Christine, Kate, and Nancy for sharing and having some fun activities for us to take part in. I'm sure everyone is inspired to try to learn or try new things. So thank you all for your presentation. And thanks for sticking around. Definitely make sure to fill out the evaluation form that's a bit earlier up in the chat box, but we'll also share it out. And we hope to see you next week. Have a good weekend, everyone. Have a safe Halloween.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.